Do you remember when hobbits were hobbits?
What are you doing?
Nothing. Or how about when wizards were wizards?
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Or how about when the Dark One, Sauron, was a clearly defined bad guy who was neither gender confused nor maybe a good guy? Or how about when orcs were the ultimate bad guy because Tolkien wrote them as bad guys and they were never going to be good guys before we suddenly needed to have female orcs representing a demographic of oppressed females who don't need no man because we can't have the orcs being constantly the bad guys because that's racist and it's not okay to have a bad guy in your story.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
Yeah, I don't really remember those days either. It's hard to look back and find any sort of clear path back to what Middle Earth used to be back when I thought it was a really cool book series by a guy named J.R.R. Tolkien. I digress. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfield, the bearded dwarven princess. Welcome back to another rant video here about Rings of Power. And today I just want to talk about the ridiculousness of this entire fiasco. If you've been following my videos to date, I've done, I don't know, 25 or 30 Rings of Power videos since February. And each week it seems like we come further and further into this sort of place where nothing is sacred anymore, and they just appear to be willing to do whatever they want to take an IP and exploit it for the absolute maximum amount of money. Now, I've previously said that very tongue in cheek, my rant videos are often kind of funny, and at the end of the day, I am going to always say that in terms of any sort of property that comes out, whether it's a video game or a film franchise or a TV show, all of these things can point back to the original intellectual property, the books themselves. And bringing more people into the franchise is never a bad thing. But there is also the question of at what cost? Because there is this fear that if you have too many people coming to the Rings of Power adaptation and seeing these woke versions, these fake versions of characters, and then they go read the actual books by J.R.R. Tolkien, they will take with them the ideas that have been programmed into them by the showrunners of this new show, where we have things like, you know, let's not worry about timelines. Let's compress everything because Tolkien's history doesn't really matter. We want to take the core aspects of that story and cram it into this tiny thing. And that thing about how orcs were the bad guys. Yeah, we can't have that because it's wrong to have clearly defined good guys and bad guys because it's racist against the orcs. And remember how he said in the letters and he wrote in his books that orcs were slant-eyed and dark of skin, and therefore he must have been referring to Asian people because everybody knows that J.R.R. Tolkien at the end of the day was a racist. And by the way, there weren't any gay people in The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings or the Silmarillion. Therefore, J.R.R. Tolkien must have been homophobic, and therefore we have to recreate that and make characters who fit the LGBTQ plus community to put them on our show because they need representation. And we keep hearing these words being bandied around about how it's a requirement for a modern adaptation. You know what else? If you're going to go down this path, you know what else we should be modernizing while we're at it? If we're talking about racism and, being against homosexuals and all this other stuff, the Bible. Let's redo the Bible while we're at it because the Bible has lots of racism. It has sexism. It has misogyny. It has slavery. It has all just horrible things. But also, while we're at it, we need to go back and redo Shakespeare because Shakespeare had homophobic messaging, right? Shakespeare was against black people, right? Like, I'm sure we can find a text somewhere that says or can be interpreted as Shakespeare being against black people, right? Right? The point I'm trying to make is that even though I myself am usually a fairly tolerant person, like I went into the Wheel of Time sort of with open eyes saying I expect it to be, you know, loosely based upon the books, but I wasn't ready for the inspired by version. I was expecting an adaptation of, and instead we got the version of this series was inspired by Wheel of Time, but it's actually our version of Wheel of Time. Rings of Power appears to be inspired by Tolkien, but it is not, in fact, an adaptation of anything that Tolkien ever wrote. This idea recently being thrown around that the meteor that we saw from the previous trailer that came out yesterday, the comet, we're theorizing in my previous video about what that could be, and now we're being told the rumor mill suggests, based on the meteor man that we saw from the original trailer back in February, the bearded, naked person, we're now being kind of confirmed with the rumor mill that comet is in fact a wizard, one of the Astari, falling down from the skies. And since they aren't, we hope they're not going to create their own wizard from scratch. The only theory here is that they're going to make this be Gandalf because they need Gandalf to be tied into the property because that's the only way that they're going to get some of the third age fans over to the second age show is to show them how we're going to make it all tie together in this really nice bow and put it all together. And not only are you going to see Sauron and Galadriel and Elrond and some of your favorite characters from the Peter Jackson films, we're also going to bring back Gandalf because Gandalf is a classic character and Gandalf was the one who discovered the hobbits. And so if we want that to make sense in their show, don't forget, if you like what you're hearing today, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get updates like this in the future. Don't forget, you can always support the channel with a super thanks, or you can join as a member of the Adventurers Guild down there. It's $2.99 a month. It's a membership option here on YouTube. It's a great way to support the channel. And if you catch me during a live stream, you can always drop super chats and stickers on those videos. And of course, if you want to go above and beyond and you like good writing and good video games and Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop, you check out the world of the Weave and the Void that my brother, my wife, and I are making through our company, The Wandering Hermits. It's patreon.com/Wandering Hermits. Hopefully, we'll see you over there as well. But let's get back to this video. They're going to retcon Gandalf's coming to Earth tale, coming to Middle Earth, I should say. Instead of having him come to Earth in the Third Age, alongside Saruman and Radagast, he's going to be coming during the Second Age, and he's falling from the sky like a comet or a meteor man. Hashtag Meteor Man rises. Hashtag Gandalf is risen. I don't know. Insert your own hashtag here. You know, there is something to be said for the imagination. And there's nothing wrong with having an active imagination. And if you are going to be doing something that is based on an intellectual property, then you have free reign to kind of do what you want if you're using the phrasing, based on. But the moment you claim that you're making an adaptation of, and you're actually, you know, this is the show that the fans are going to love because we're staying so true and loyal to the source material. Bullshit. You're so way off course at this point. We've got these proto hobbits claiming to be the forefather of all hobbits, which is absolutely a bald faced lie. We have non bearded dwarven women, which again, I'm just poking fun at, but as the bearded dwarven princess, I have to stand up for all bearded dwarven women and I have to represent them as they need to be represented. But gender swapping and gender confusing. The Baron and Luthien thing, like I was reading recently, I've been playing through Lord of the Rings Online, the Midsummer's Festival, and I got to go see, and I did the live stream of this, the Aragorn and Arwen wedding scene, and it was beautifully done in Lord of the Rings Online. If you've not played this game before, you should, but definitely check that out during the Midsummer Festival. And during this sequence, we're reminded of just how rare and how important it was that Arwen is literally Luthien reborn, right? And how important it was because that was a sacred storyline, the Baron and Luthien storyline, and for Arwen to give up her immortality to live with Aragorn was this big thing, and yet we see it being casually bandied about and thrown around in this new Rings of Power show with the gender swapped version where we have a male elf and a female human having a forbidden romance. I digress. The point is, I want Middle Earth to be about the Middle Earth that I grew up reading and loving, where hobbits were hobbits, orcs were orcs, dark ones were dark ones, wizards were wizards. Nobody was confused about who they were, and it was clearly defined stakes. That's what I want, everybody. Let me know your thoughts below. Drop them down there. See you in the next video.